Welcome to the IndieRef Weekly Review, bringing you a roundup of news you maybe missed every weekend to the Scottish independence referendum in September. This week, Vote No Borders target scared parents, revelations about the EU, and a look at jobs at Faslane. So up first, the UK Treasury has been caught out for lying to you about the cost of independence. This week the Treasury claimed that the cost of setting up an independent Scotland would drop an immediate bill of £2.7 billion onto the taxpayer, except that turned out to be complete nonsense. The Treasury cited the London School of Economics for this number, at which point Patrick Dunleavy, Professor of Political Science at the London School of Economics, came forward and said, "I don't think they read my paper." He went on to say the Treasury's figures are bizarrely inaccurate. People in Whitehall are not very well informed about Scottish Government and not very good at doing the analysis. They just plucked a figure out of the air and multiplied it by a ridiculous number and put my university's name on it, which I'm not very happy about. Well, neither are we. So, after being caught in the act, Danny Alexander, Chief Secretary to the Treasury, said, no, we weren't using that paper. The figure's actually 1.5 billion, and that's based on research from Professor Robert Young of Western University in Canada. Now, Professor Young then stepped forward and called bullshit on that claim too. He said that the new number was at the highest end of estimates for what it would cost Quebec to separate from Canada, and went further to say that Scotland could set up all the necessary infrastructure for as low as £600 million. Now let's put that into context. The UK government spending £50 billion on a high-speed railway linking Leeds and Manchester to London, and Scotland's going to be paying 10% of the bill despite getting no benefit from it. Even if it did cost £2.7 billion to set up our own country, I'd be alright with that. So the next time the Treasury tries to tell you how we'll all be worse off in an independent Scotland, just remember the time they exaggerated by a factor of 10 the cost of setting up our country. Project Fear, the ongoing campaign from the no side to keep you scared of independence, took another blow this week when the European Policy Centre think tank came forward and said it would be difficult to see how the European Union could reject 5 million Scots who are already EU citizens. The report, published by Graham Avery, the European Commission's Honorary Director General for the European Policy Centre and the man who negotiated the UK's entry into the European Community in the 1970s, states that no EU member state would have a material interest in Scotland not being in the European Union. Now, Avery has previously come forward in support of the Scottish Government's plans to join EU within 18 months as an independent country. So that's another argument from Project Fear defeated. So interesting figures concerning employment at Faslane came to light this week in a video that appeared on Bella Caledonia's blog. Now, for anyone who is not currently following Bella Caledonia, you should be. The video shows a public debate featuring the one and only Jackie Baillie, who has long supported the decision to keep nuclear submarines on the Clyde because of the benefits to the local economy and the jobs created by them. In the video, someone from the audience who had done their own research into this claim points out that according to Babcock International, 85% of service personnel on the base do not have a registered address in Scotland. They come up from the south, live on the base during the week, and then spend their wages when they head back home for the weekend. In other words, we can ditch nuclear weapons in Scotland without having to worry about the impact on the local economy. Jackie Baillie's silence on this only illustrates the point further. And now, on to my favourite story of the week. Vote No Borders have been caught out for lying to scared parents in their recent cinema ads. Now, Vote No Borders are the supposed grassroots campaign against independence, featuring real Scottish people speaking out against the dangers of self-determination. Except the Vote No Borders is actually run and funded by Malcolm Offord, a long-time Tory backer and millionaire, and despite being the voice of the people of Scotland, is registered and run from London. Something made all the more obvious since they still don't know how to spell Pollock or know where Glasgow Central Station is. Now, there's a great recent article from Baffiebox that breaks down just how full of shit Vote No Borders are, links below. Now, in their most recent ads, Vote No Borders have been targeting parents with sick kids.
So if my family needs an expert at, say, the Marsden Cancer Hospital or Great Ormond Street?
They can join the long list of foreigners waiting to be seen.
But I thought you said the National Health Service would still exist.
It will, you muppet, but it's national.
Eh?
Different nation, different national.
This alone just shows Vote No Borders for the scumbags that they are, but what makes it even worse is that it's a lie. Great Ormond Street Hospital has come forward and said, Great Ormond Street Hospital was not consulted about this advertising and we in no way endorse its messages or that of any other political campaign group. We have contacted the Vote No Borders group to request that the advert is removed from cinemas as soon as possible. We would like to reassure Scottish families that we already have reciprocal healthcare agreements with numerous countries and we regularly treat patients from across Europe because of our very specialist expertise. Now, this really gets me angry. To target parents who are probably going through some of the most painful periods of their life and tell them that their sick kids will not get treatment in an independent Scotland. To all the folks on the no side, if you were a supporter of Vote No Borders, I think it's your duty to distance yourself from them. You know what, there may be good arguments for voting no, but this is not one of them. And going from the extremely negative to the extremely positive, I want to give a shout out to the National Collective and the Yestival project. Yestival is a nationwide tour taking place in July, consisting of large events, pop-up street theatre performances and guerrilla happenings. A National Collective touring bus is travelling across the country and it's got backing from Julie Fowlis, David Gregg, R.M. Hubbard and Craig Coulthard. Now, they plan to visit every city in Scotland and they're currently raising the funds to do so. There are 4 days left to hit their target. I've donated a couple of times and you should too. Links to that below as well. On to the final segment of this week's roundup, it's the fact of the day. Since the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives joined forces back in 2010, the use of food banks in the UK has multiplied by 10. In the last year alone, nearly 1 million people were forced to receive emergency food packages. And in that same period of time, the unelected House of Lords in Westminster have used taxpayers' money to buy themselves over 17,000 bottles of champagne, coming to a cost of just over $250,000. Now, with the system that corrupt, do you really still think we're better together? Thanks for listening. Links to everything I've spoken about are below. Please do share, like and subscribe. I'll be bringing you your Indie Ref weekly roundup every week from now until the referendum, so stay tuned. See you all next week.